Hey, everybody. How's it going? Let's see. Go find the chat. I hope the Gallimaufry went well. I was listening to bits and pieces of it. It was dark today. Very dark. It was like Locrian kind of dark. I guess we're like channeling. It was real glitchy, too, and I don't know if that was my network or not, but it was like coming in and out, lots of bits and pieces. It was awesome. Let's see. My Logify, hello. Hey, Davey. Audrey, hey there, sir. This world needs a hero. Greetings. Hey, Mr. Hopkins. Sounded good. Anna, sounded good. Oh, wait. Anna, were you part of it? You were out. Sorry. Who was in? Who was in today? It was Garen, Quasar, and Cynthia? Dr. Cynthia? Who was in it? I didn't look to see who was in it. I was just listening to it. I was streaming it. Sounded good. Let's see. Wookie. Music Smurf, greetings. Let's see. Toucan in H-O. Toucanaho? I'm not sure how that one goes. Welcome, if you're new. Hey, there's Tinker Scientist. Quasar. Mr. Esplin. Marky. There's Dr. Cynthio. Were you performing today? And Garen, greetings. Let's see. Looking for tags. I think that's it. A Hungarian minor. That's what you guys are working in. It was very, it was different. It was good, but like, it would remind me of like Night on Bald Mountain, kind of, you know, Mussorgsky. I don't know. I don't know any Hungarian composers. Hungarian's awesome though. It sounded great. Let's see. Quattro Bugina. Hey, you're in the bathtub. You can't type. That's fine. Dr. Cynthia is, oh, that's right. You're rebuilding your modular. I saw that went by in the Discord. Lords of Form. Hey there. All right. So cool. Hey, everybody. All right. So today we're different. Little tiny jam at the very beginning, and you can go back and rewind that if you want. Today, wake up. My computer went to sleep. There we go. That's better. Let's see. I use this utility called Owly, but I forgot to turn it on. There we go. There. Don't sleep. No sleeping. What are we doing? So, doing something different. Just I'm in a mood. So you guys are along for the ride. Hope that's okay. I'll pay attention to the chat. Tag me or put a couple capital Qs in the chat if you have a question specifically for me. But what we are doing today is playing around with the Ableton Drift synthesizer, which looks like that. There we go. Because I've been using the Move a lot to work on some music, and the Drift synthesizer is built into the Move. There's a couple other ones as well, but the Drift one's really cool, and I'm enjoying it a lot. And so I was just going to do some sound design because why not? You know, I'm on my journey here, right? So it's up to you guys to, if that interests you, you're welcome to follow along, and if it's not, well, thanks for visiting. It's all good. So let's see. Let me show you some things that I had been belting, or let me play for you. We're using it in the jam at the beginning. Let's see. The Drift synth is MPE friendly, but I'm not using MPE on here right now. I have to like, I will transition into there eventually. I'm just using plain old channel Aftertouch. Because as you know, if you followed my musical, you know, playground, I mostly play monophonic stuff anyway. Occasionally an interval, right? Anyway, so let's see. I was going to share this with you guys. Let me do this. Let me flip over to the actual view of the computer. Hang on one second. Boop. All right, we do that, and then we do this. So I was going to share this. So this is the architecture of the Drift synthesizer. Simplified, right? It's 2 oscillators and a noise generator going into a mixer. The mixer will overdrive. It has 2 stages of overdrive. It will overdrive before it gets to the filter, and it will also, you can also overdrive it after the filter by varying the levels in the mixer, which is interesting the way, I mean, software, right? I don't know how you would do that in hardware, but yeah, so these basically come together. You got your stock waveforms in there, a few interesting ones. I'll show you in a minute, but it's really simple. 2 os and noise into a mixer, set the levels, mixer will overdrive to add some timbre into a low pass filter that comes in 2 variants into a high pass filter and then to the VCA. And then the interesting stuff post VCA is some of the modes. It's got a stereo mode that chews up 2 voices per, but it's a very sort of binaural sort of feel to it. And the big thing is this drift parameter. As you turn it up, all all the frequencies everywhere. So the frequencies of the filter cut off, the frequencies of the oscillators starts drifting. You know, because I don't know, we like to sound like old things. Yeah, anyway, so that's it. But really what makes this, it's a super, super simple synth, and it's really light on CPU. You are listening to it now. But what makes it really interesting is this stuff. This is all the modulation. And it's not crazy. Like, you know, some synths have an infinite modulation matrix. This has a modulation bus with 3 slots in it. Okay. And it's got, it has 2 envelopes, 2 ADSR envelopes. One's permanently attached to the VCA, but you can route it to other things. One's attached to the filter, but you can route it to other things. And the filter one you can cycle, which is super, super cool. There's a bunch of modulation performance mod stuff that comes in. So key, velocity, mod, wheel pressure, and slide. That's the MPE stuff. And then there's an LFO on it that will also do linear and exponential envelope one-shots, which is nice. It's got a sample and hold, which, you know, is random, but it's also got a wander, which is like a slewed sample and hold. Really nice. And then really, what's really funky about it, both the cycling filter and the LFO are really super powerful. They'll do, you know, your standard hertz stuff, but you can specify in milliseconds. You can also do FM ratios, 1-to-1, and then dial it in. So it'll do sort of FM sort of crunchiness, and then it does metrical stuff. Both the LFO and the cycling envelope will do all of those, which is cool. And then the targets are this limited list, which is pretty good based on what's in the synth. So I'm not going to force you guys to look at this diagram anymore, but this is an excellent synth. And it's not a beginner's synth, but it's really approachable. So hey, play with it if you haven't, if you're an Ableton person. It's available in all versions of Ableton, even the intro one, which is cool. So, all right, let me go back. And you can go back here. There we go. Nice. Let's see. So let's make some noise. I'm going to play some sounds here that I did, and then I'll build one. So we were playing with this. Right? So this is an sawtooth os on oscillator 1. Oscillator 1 can be shaped. Right? You can play with the shape. It's basically, depending on what the waveform is, it does different things. It'll either fold it or sync it or mangle it in some interesting way. And OS2 is doing this square wave that's an octave below. So if we bring it up, and that's what's doing the pulsing. Right, we're using an LFO here with a saw down to basically, we look at it, LFO is changing OS2 gain. Right, so my OS2, this one, this gain here, is being pulsed by the LFO. And my pressure is playing with the shape and opening the filter a little bit. So pressure on the filter, pressure on the shape. So what I do generally is I'll have like a macro that controls the envelope attack for the filter envelope. So I'll slow it down if I want to make it a pad. Right? Or I'll turn it into a pluck. Right? And then I'll play with oscillator 2, bring it down an octave, or bring it down 2 octaves. So this is as close as I get to lo-fi, that sort of crunchy square wave on the bottom. Words of Form says, hey, is 12.2 out yet officially? No. Sorry. Actually, that's not true. I don't know because I didn't look in the last day or two. So I'm using 12.2 beta. But the beta is easy to get into. You just go there and sign up and they email you in like a couple days. Yeah, so this will be more of a demonstration reg of my peculiarities on what I like on macros. So if I've got more than one oscillator, I definitely put the octave of one of them on a macro. Right, because if I've got, let's see, if I make sure we have no patterns here. All right. Let me make a really quick Berlin school style sort of pattern here. Right. So, all right, let's bring our filter envelope down. And then I'll play. And then I'll play with the octaves when the pattern's running. Right. So it's a nice way to, without changing the tonality of something, play with the timbre a little bit. And it's not necessarily going to dramatically change the mix in that I'm just taking two layers and I'm changing the space between them octave-wise, as opposed to, you know, opening a filter up and then everything else, it starts overlapping timbres with stuff. This is pretty much the same, safer or more boring, depending on how you want to look at it. Any ideas on the release date? No, I don't know Lord of Form, although they're getting pretty close. Usually in the beta, what happens is the last few updates come fast. There's one every couple of days, and it's been like that. And the things they're updating are like the current version of Max that's installed is the current released version of Max. And then Max released a new version like 3 days ago. It usually means, you know, they're getting all the dependencies synced up. And they're changing things like the help files and things like that. That's what's in the release notes. So, Tracy, let's see, question. What does it mean to put something on a macro? Okay, good question. Sticks Lorelei right here. I don't know what you're saying, Jay. Don't know what you're saying, Garen. That's a reference I don't know. So macros. So in Ableton, on the push, you can't see them because they're up there and I don't have them in camera, but there's 8 knobs and those are used to control parameters on devices and synths and things like that. Well, one of the things you can do with the Ableton devices, and you can wrap like third-party things in Ableton device, like an instrument rack or an effects rack, is it allows you to define these knobs over here. So let's see, off on the left, there are this set of knobs, okay? And you can have, I think, up to 16 macros, okay? But they map to the knobs on the push, or you can map them MIDI-wise. So here's one for Tinker Scientist. Reference humor. If you bring up the MIDI mapping, everything turns purple. And basically what you do is you pick a knob and then go turn a knob on your control surface, and it will pick that up and assign it to this macro knob inside Ableton. So if you've got a bunch of physical control surfaces and you want to mess with the parameters in the software, you can either map them directly, or this is a layer of abstraction in Ableton. The drift synth is this thing that I have highlighted, okay? See the bar is lit up. That's the actual drift synth device. This is the wrapper. This is the instrument rack that it's sitting in, right? When I click on this, the difference here is that's just drift. That's the instrument rack. And the instrument rack can have up to 16 macro knobs that come in as nothing, right? You can turn them and nothing happens. But what you then do is within the devices in the rack, you could say map to, let me bring this back. There you go. You would say right-click on something. Let's say I wanted to control noise with one of these macro knobs. You would right-click on it and say map to, whatever macro you want. And you can map more than one thing. And then if you bring up, you can bring up the mappings, and they're listed here, and you can set the ranges for them too. So it's nice. You can have a single knob that you could basically make it so that one knob controls many things, and it controls them in different amounts, right? So you can have, when I turn the knob, the filter opens a little bit. And also when I turn that same knob, the sub comes up a lot, right? There's a bunch of things. Like Ableton, this is not like a Ableton sales pitch, but Ableton just gives you a set of open-ended tools and says, go build this. A lot of DAWs do this. Bitwig does this, VCV Rack certainly, right? There's a bunch of ways to glue your stuff together however you want. And they give you the facilities to do that. And macros are one of those things. So super nice. Oh, the ARP I played was something from Lorelei by Styx. Okay. Gotcha. Thank you, Garen. I'll have to go listen to this because I probably would recognize the song if I heard it, but it's not coming to mind. Hey, Soar. Greetings. I'm assuming that's Marilyn. Let's see. Davey, Tinker Scientist. Yeah, macros. All right. So you talk with Tracy about macros. Oh, awesome. Let's keep going. So let me close this up. Don't need that. So yeah. So this is so it's a square and a square on the bottom. Well, square right now it's in unison, but there's a square on the bottom. And pressure is changing the shape. It's actually syncing the sawtooth wave based on aftertouch. And then the square wave is being pulsed by the LFO doing a falling saw. I'm just demonstrating something I built yesterday. So we'll get to doing something from scratch in a little bit. So, but that's one thing. All right. Another sort of, I make leads that are also pluckable. Right. So this is another drift one, but I can change the envelope, the decay of the filter envelope, make it more plucky. It's actually a little too much reverb on this. Hold on. All right. So what can we do with this? Same thing, right? So two oscillators. These are both, one's a shark fin oscillator. Here, if we solo it. Right? And then there is a triangle on the bottom. And a little bit of noise. Again, I've got oscillator 2 set up so I can modulate the octave. And affect its gain. Turn it up a bit. We can bring the resonance up. Want some space zaps? This is for that. And you could play with the attack if you want to turn it into a pad. Bring the volume up a little bit. So what's happening here is our LFO is, what is our LFO map to? Our LFO is playing with OS2 gain. And it's also modding the pitch very, very slightly. So you got a little bit of vibrato in there. And aftertouch opens the filter a little bit. So you hear this, the noise. There's the noise oscillator you'll hear coming in. And that'll be actually better with, when it's in paddy mode, I'll turn up the reverb. Right, and it's stopping because we've got a fast decay on the filter envelope. We'll make that a little longer. Let's do it this way. And Emotion says she tried Bitwig but did not like it. Did not like all of the orange. I think I told you guys the joke about my friend Eric, who used to go to McDonald's and he would order a cheeseburger with no cheese. And they'd be like, "You mean a hamburger?" He's like, "No, I want you to make me a cheeseburger and don't put any cheese on it." And they're like, "Why? It's the same thing." And he's like, "I like the pretty yellow wrapper." So. So I like this. It's a pretty decent pad. This synth is really nice, I gotta say. Oh, you know what? I just realized nothing's ducking under the synths. Hang on a second. All these drift synths are not routed to duck appropriately. 1 second. There we go. Better. Now they should duck. There we go. That's better. Now, let me ask you this. Do you guys like the reverb? You know, we turn it up. Let me make it absurdly long. Not long, but thick. Here, reverb. I mean, it's not amazing, but it's nice. I think it's good. That's the stock Ableton reverb. It's super. It's like super CPU efficient. I'm all about using the Move lately. And the Move's got an ARM processor in it, and it's powerful, but it's not crazy. But it uses all these stock Ableton effects for it, and they sound great. And I just really never put that much effort into learning to dial in the things I want, right? I've always, you know, the compressor and things like that, that's fine. But like the Ableton has a couple different reverbs, and there's an algorithmic one that's kind of CPU heavy, and I like it. It's very much good for black holy kind of stuff. But just the basic reverb's perfectly capable if you know what you're doing. And so I spent the weekend watching tutorials on, like, ancient tutorials on concepts of like basic, like what are the parts of a reverb, right? My journey through has always been like, yeah, reverb's that thing where you grab a thing and throw a preset on it, and does it sound good? You might tweak it a little bit, you know, the size or the delay length. But I never really got into the whole, like, you know, initial reflections followed by diffusion and how do you deal with it. And so I'm learning, and as a result, I'm getting a lot more CPU freed up because I'm using the like lower CPU reverb that still sounds good. Hey, Doug. Anyway, all right, so let's go the opposite direction. Oh, hang on, I got a pattern running. Stop. Go away. There we go. So here's something to pay attention to. So I'm use the Move, right? The half pad thing. And I use the push. The push, and this is a push 3. The Move is the technology used in the push 2 for its pads. And so the sort of response of the Move pads are very different than the response of the push 3 pads. And so I built this particular sort of Reese bass, pulsy bass I built it on the Move, and it's tuned, like its curves for bringing in like that. There's this pulsing that comes in. On the Move, I can pressure-wise bring it in very smoothly. But on the push, the curves are different, and so I'm like running into difficulties where the sounds sound the same for the most part, but when it comes to the performance parameters and performance tuning, like what are the shape of the curves and how far will the modulation push things out of whack, it's different on the push than the Move. And so if I build it on the Move and I bring it over the push, I find out I have to tweak it a bit. Yeah, like on the push, in order to activate the aftertouch, if you play heavily, like I play with I got heavy hands, right? Hang on a second. There's there is a glide time that's a little high. So I can do this run, but it's supposed to bring in that pulsing. And what it is I play so heavily that I've sort of like passed the threshold where it would say, oh, you want aftertouch now? So I actually have to let go, right? I have to lessen, I gotta lighten up, and then it comes back in, and then when I press, I can do the activate the aftertouch stuff. See, I gotta press and then let go. On the push, I play as heavy as I want and then continue to press and it comes in. It's sort of mildly annoying and probably something I can work around using some kind of like some sort of Max for Live device to play with the difference between pushes 3 sort of implementation of aftertouch and the Moves, because they are different. So Doug, oh, doesn't matter, Doug. Late, early, it matters not. Let's see. Hey, Mr. Olpen. Let's see. Anyone else pop in? Jeff says, on the Linstrument, I can just calibrate the pads how I want. Yes, Jeff, the Linstrument is obviously the greatest grid instrument ever. I said it. You could determine how much sarcasm there is there. I do like the Linstrument. It's just that the pads are too small for my fat fingers. I'm very picky, right? Because like I don't like MPCs either, and they have big chunky pads, right? MPC pads are like silver dollars, right? And the Linstruments are more like the size. I think they're a little bit bigger. Well, I've laid my hand on not the full size Linstrument, the smaller version that a buddy at work has. And it feels like the Launchpad Pro mini size is close to this. I think they're not square, they're sort of rectangular. But but they're just a little small for me. And you know, in reality, I think the pads are the size of the tip of my finger, so it should work fine. But I'm too many years playing this. I like this size. So anyway, that's how it is. You think it's weird that you can't do the same thing on the push? So what can you do on the push as far as that's concerned? Hang on a second. So for sensitivity, for expression, if I go to MPE mode, so I can specify where the in-tune location is on the pad and how wide that region is, and then what the slide height is, and whether pitch band is on, off, or automatic, right? But I can't, and then for curves, sensitivity curves is here, but that's for, this translates to velocity. So I don't, if I want to do if I want to mess with the curves, I got to bring in a device in Ableton. There's a couple devices that you can use to remap the curves arbitrarily. You can like invert them and make them S-shaped and do all sorts of stuff. I just haven't messed with it yet. So yeah, it's a doable thing, but I can't do it on the hardware. Oh, whoops. So I also, I don't want to be in MPE mode right now because I didn't program this to be MPE. So. So it is. Anyway, so I've been fiddling around with these, the drift. So anyway, this sound is coming from Drift, which I think is awesome. Anyway, an oversight on Ableton's part. Yeah, probably. Although they have a different sort of attitude, right? We've designed it with a specific purpose in mind as far as like usage, right? They expect, they've got a workflow, right? They want you to follow. They, you know, depending on whose marketing material you read, they'll be like, oh, it's super flexible and you can do whatever your workflow you want within, you know, and then parenthetically within the, you know, 6 workflows that we thought about when we were designing the thing. So that's fine. Really, it just comes that Roger Lynn is way smarter than Ableton, right? It's okay. Synth Weasel. That's an Ableton push. Greetings. Scruffy Fox. Hey there. It's all good. I just don't, yeah, I like my push. It's all good. Tracy is talking to Tinker Scientist. All right. Again, if you guys want me to answer any questions, do tag me. Now, let's see what or put big capital Qs at the beginning of the thing. We were going to do a little sound design. All right. So where are we here? We're on a drift. Let's close down the macros because we don't need those right now. Okay. By default, Ableton provides you with a template for specifically a drift instrument for the Move, and it comes with a reverb and a delay in it. And you can change out those instruments into any of the Move approved other devices, chorus, phaser, things like that. I think there's a compressor. There's a compressor. I think there's an overdrive. I don't know. Haven't messed around. I do Berlin school, so it's always like delay and reverb. So let's play with this. So let's just play with oscillator 1. A little loud. Hang on a sec. How's that? All right. What's generating the swirly display? An app called Fluid that is actually on my phone. So, and that's a preset that I made for Fluid. It's basically a sandbox for fluid dynamics and making trippy visuals. So works great. I'm catching up with the chat. Oh, okay, we're good. All right, so let's do something. So we did a pluck. We did a lead. We did a bass. Here, we can do another. We kind of did a pluck / pad. Let's do another pluck. Let's do, because we've got these. We've got that. We've got that pad. Let's turn this into a pluck that's complementary to this. We'll do this one. Everything you're hearing today from the Drift is, you can get that sound on the Move too. That's the thing. I'm using the Move template device because I want to move these sounds onto the Move. Oh, comedy gold. All right. So there's a bunch of different waveforms. It's all the usual suspects, right? Sine, triangle. This is shark tooth, which is the only other synths I have that have shark tooths on them are, let's see, the Mini Moog. I don't think the subsequent has a shark tooth. So software synths have shark tooths. They're like a triangle with a little bit of an edge to it. So like here's a triangle. Okay, and here's a shark tooth. It's like a triangle with a little buzz. So shark tooth, triangle, right? And then sine. So you could think of those three as like each a little bit more high-end timbre. So, and then there's this shape knob. So all of these waveforms, you can turn the shape knob to do a various kind of wave folding or syncing or whatever. So like on sines, you can see down here, that little display, right? It's wave folding. So the shark tooth, I would say that's pulse width modulation. Right. And then there's one other non-standard one. It's this one, which I don't know what it's called. I suppose I could look it up, but it's almost like got an octave timbre in there. And when we turn the shape, it does like a clipping thing. And it says in the manual, I don't remember what it calls this shape, but it says it's good for basses. Or plucked like guitar sounds. I don't know. Your mileage may vary. Anyway, so let's try it. Let's try it for a pluck. All right. Let's see. Doug says, synth, is it Fluid by Pavel? I don't know. I'll tell you later, Doug, and I'll throw it at you on Discord. But its logo, its icon is like a purple drop or an orange drop on a purple field. I'm sorry. So let's see. All right. So where are we doing? All right, we're going for a pluck. So when I go to build, this is certainly not a masterclass on sound design. Okay, have no illusions, right? The way I approach designing, say, a pluck is the first thing I do is set the VCA up to be pluck-like. So that means now I'm going to make the filter look like this. But for now, what I do with the VCA is I set it to look like an organ, believe it or not. So it's like almost no attack, no decay, full sustain, and a tiny bit of release. I just want to ring out. That's the VCA shape, okay? And then on the filter envelope, so envelope 1 on Drift is mapped permanently to the VCA, and you can route it in the mod matrix to other places as well, but filter 1, VCA, filter 2, VCF. All right, so we want to pluck, so let's bring our filter frequency down. And our frequency mod using envelope 2 is at 80%. We'll put it at 100%. So our filter envelope is affecting the frequency. Right? So that decays about a little long. We'll make it like 2 seconds. And I don't want it to sustain at all right now. So I want it to decay to nothing. All right. All right, good enough. We'll add a little resonance. So we can get, I don't know if the low end is coming through, but that resonance there is like super subby after the initial zap. I don't know if that's coming through the YouTube compression. Anyway, don't want that much resonance. All right, doesn't sound great, right? We need to do something to it. So we can take the shape and we can map the shape to the filter envelope as well. So we get a little timbre change over time. So let's do that. So we'll go into our mod and we'll say we're going to send envelope 2 and we're going to send it to OS1 shape. And this is how much? We'll say 100%. All right. All right, so there's some timbre changing there. Let's put a little reverb and some delay on it so we can hear it. I like to have, they default to having reverb before delay, and I like it the other way around. Let's see. Too much feedback. And we'll bring our filter down on our delay. Yeah, we want it to sort of bucket brigade it. You know, we want it to sort of degrade as it decays, as it delays, as it echoes. All right, and all right, reverb. Let's give it some reverb. All right. So how much? We'll give it about 3 seconds of decay. Interesting. I hear, oh, drift. No, drift's not on. Sounds like it's, is that the, so the reverb is got some modulation going on it. So let's turn off this. This is the reflection and diffusion. There we go. That's what it was. You hear that sort of like pitch bendy? It's because the mount's high. We'll bring that down. All right, that'll work. All right, that'll get the job done. All right, so we've got a little delay and reverb on this. Let's go back to our sound. It's getting there. Let's see. Am I missing anything in here? Really quick, looking for tags. Nope. Eddie Booz. Greetings. All right. So let's layer something on this. So Oscillator 2 doesn't have, actually it does have that block. All right, cool. Let's try that. We'll try and lay these on and we'll detune them. We'll make you the same volume. And there's the detune knob for Oscillator 2. All right, let's bring the frequency mod down a little bit so it's a little more plucky. Yeah, that's not bad. A little less detune. Yeah, all right. So now I do want this to sustain a little bit. So we'll bring our filter sustain up just slightly. All right, and then I want this to be sort of binaural. So Drift has the ability to play in stereo mode. So we'll say stereo. We'll decide how much stereo we want. So again, I don't know if this is coming through the YouTube. Right? So it's not amazing, but we're going to play it with. I think I want to drop oscillator to an octave here. And while we're here, let's play with making it a square wave. And I want to change something else. Let's apply the LFO to let's apply the LFO to the filter frequency. Oh, so I was saying earlier that the LFO is actually a really cool LFO because it'll do a bunch of different timing variants, not just like hertz. So if we put it into, this is FM mode. If you do, what is it? If you do whole number intervals, it'll be in tune. Like, what is it? Harmonic versus enharmonic sort of FM. So let's, if we make this 2, we make it 4. Hear that buzz in the background? But if I do something weird, like some floating point number. Sort of bell-like. All right, so let's filter that more. Let's take away the sustain. Ooh, we're turning this pluck into a bell. Let's play with this ratio, see if we can find one that's more pleasing. Let's type in some values. Let's do 6.5. There we go. All right. And you know what? I don't want a reverb on this. I want a chorus. So let's go put a chorus on it. There we go. There we go. Now we're heading towards Taco Bell. There we go. We'll play with our delay a bit. We'll spread it out. All right. Let's see, any tags? Nope. Those trippy in your earbuds? Yeah, it is very much ping pong, right? You know what? Let's, on a whim, let's change this oscillator 1 to, I think we're getting mostly oscillator 2. I'm hearing some sustain from oscillator 1 there. It's interesting, but not great. I'm like, that's it. We've gone down a path, right? Let's see. Let me put that back. It's got this bell-like thing in there. So again, I'm not a master sound designer, but I can hear where I'm headed, and I'm like, I want more of that. And that's this FM, LFO FMing oscillator too. No, that sounds like a toy. Too much. All right, so let's do this. Let's go back to our amplitude and start bringing down our sustains. We'll treat this more. All right, this does want some reverb on it, and at this point, I'm going to break it from being the move, and I'm going to go throw a. I'm going to throw a hybrid reverb on it. So hold on. So post processing at this point. That's better. I want to be a little brighter. Let's play with the ratios again. So 6.5, let's bring it up to, what's our maximum? 10.5. That's better. I like where this is going. The FM stuff does weird things in the mid-range, so I may end up actually having to put an EQ on this too. All right, so let's use this as it is. Let's do this. Let's put down a little pattern. We'll try and see how this sounds. and just see how this sounds. It's very metallic. It's like clangorous when we get down too low. All right, let's do this. Let's give it an odd. Oh, whoops. I want you. All right, let's record a little pattern. That's really strange. Oh, you know what I was doing? I was futzing with my settings. I was reading the manual and trying something. Where are we? Select on launch, new. And there was I think that was select on launch. So, all right, let's try this again. All right, so we got a 4-bar and a 9-bar pattern here. It's real kind of quacky in the mid-range, but I'm not going to mess with that right now. Bitey. Whoops. Oh well. Again, I'll be good. Oh, we're way past 3. Whoops. There we go. Wiki says, do the macro knobs get recorded in real time when recording? Yes. Yes, they do. If you have recording automation turned on, which is a little button over here. So yeah, you can totally record all the automation. Absolutely. And then it's displayed as an envelope in your clip, and you can go tweak it if you want to. Super fun. All right. Anna had to go. That's cool. Bye, Anna. Yeah, I went over. Sorry. I've been in the garden for like working in the garden for the last 4 to 8 hours. We got 9 yards of mulch delivered, and we've been putting it out by hand. Oh Lord. So I'm a little sore, honestly. Anyway. Cool. All right. Reg blue. Okay. Anna blue, Reg blue. That's fine. Hey, Josh. Dub Station 0. Greetings. Anyway. Message retracted. I'm not sure what that means. Colorful succulent. Yeah, there's no succulents on the board today. That's okay. Love the delay. Thanks, Doug. And it's capable synth. Yeah, Drift is a nice little synth. It's super low CPU too, which is nice. You know, if you're struggling in that place. Yeah, gardening is good for the mind because Shenanigans, greetings. Yeah, I mean, we put in, so we had 1,200 square feet. So 1,200 square feet of new garden bed put in. We converted grass to garden, and then planted about 150 flowers. It was yeah, it's a lot. Planted about 150 flowers. Thank God I have an auger. Because let's face it, digging that many holes with a shovel, and I'm not a slender reed, as you know if you've seen me in the streams, right? I am not a svelte, muscular guy. I am a large, robust, obese man. So me digging 150 holes, and then it's like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. So I spent a couple $100 and bought an auger, which is basically a giant power. It's like a drill that you hold in both hands and stand over, kind of like a jackhammer, except it like drills into the earth, and that is worth its weight in gold. And so we put in a whole bunch of plants, and that was last weekend. And then this weekend we have been putting mulch out. And if you want to know how much 9 yards of mulch is, if you ever go pick up a bag at your local home improvement store, like a bag of mulch, it weighs, 30 pounds, something like that. Depends on whether it's wet, I suppose. But a bag of mulch is 9 of those make 1 yard. So imagine having to buy 81 of those and then spread them all out. That's what I've been doing for the last 2 days. So, except a dump truck came and put the mulch in my driveway. So it's been me and a shovel and a large cart, sort of moving stuff around. Doug says, I may get a push when things stabilize. Hey man, it's up for you. And you mostly use Bitwig. You should use whatever tools you like, man. It's all good. Bitwig does not support the push. Oh, it does support. Yeah, with Driven by Moss. I've heard about that. I've seen other people use it. I keep trying Bitwig. I mean, I own it, but it just doesn't jive for me. I'm too ingrained into Live. So, and I like Max for Live. Anyway, All right. Well, I am going to go because I have to go outside and put more mulch somewhere. The main bed is done. I've still got like 2 yards of mulch sitting in the driveway I have to do something with. And I think I'm going to use it to mulch the other beds. So it'll be fun. Oh, it's great. I mean, we already saw 2 hummingbirds. Saw a hummingbird this morning. So my wife is very much into put in flowers for hummingbirds and pollinating insects. So that is what we're doing. And that's less grass for me to mow. So everyone have fun. I'm out of here. And you guys have a blast. I will talk to you all later.